There is a small book behind glass in a museum, and I want you to look at it with me for a moment. It is cheap. It is worn. It is the kind of pocket account book a clerk could buy for a dime, and the handwriting inside it is careful, cramped, and young. Because the boy who kept it was 16 years old and earning a few dollars a week as an assistant bookkeeper in Cleveland, Ohio. Every cent he earned is written in that little book. Every cent he spent. Every cent he gave away. And here is the part that should stop you cold. The boy who kept that dime store notebook grew up to become John D. Rockefeller, and by every account he died the richest man the modern world had ever seen. Now hold on, because the order matters more than the money. He did not keep the ledger because he was rich. He was keeping the ledger before he had anything at all, and he treasured that little book. Ledger A, he called it, for the rest of his long life, the way other men treasure medals or paintings. So what was it? It was not luck, because luck does not write in a notebook every night for 80 years. It was not inheritance, because his father was, by every account, a traveling swindler who sold fake remedies and taught his sons nothing you would want taught. It was not a stock tip, not a secret meeting, not some genius arithmetic the rest of us were born without. It was one plain habit. One habit that costs a pencil and 10 minutes. And there is a quiet dollars and cents reason that nobody who sells you anything wants you doing it. And I will get to that reason, I promise you. But more than that, before we are done today, I am going to hand you the one rule that sits underneath all the others. The rule that protects everything. The rule Rockefeller never broke in 80 years. And I am going to show you why nobody ever taught it to you in school. Stay with me, because this one is worth your time. Now, before we go further, you should know who is talking to you. My name is Yosef Levy. I am 74 years old. I am not rich. I was never rich. I worked an ordinary job for an ordinary wage in an ordinary town, and I raised a family on it, and I will not pretend otherwise, because I would rather you trust me than be impressed by me. But I have spent 50 years doing two things side by side. I read the records of the great fortunes, the letters, the ledgers, the memoirs, the court papers, the men who built the largest piles of money in history, and the heirs who lost them. And then I did something most folks who read those books never do. I tested the rules on my own small life, on my own small paycheck. I have a notebook of my own, coffee-stained and bent at the corners, that I started keeping at 40 years old. And I will tell you plainly what it gave me, because that notebook and the rules behind it are the reason I sleep easy tonight on a fixed income while men who earn twice what I earned lie awake doing arithmetic in the dark. And I suspect you know that arithmetic. You know the quiet fear, I mean. The fear that the money runs out before you do. The fear of being a burden. The fear of a bill you did not see coming. Of prices that climb while your income stands still. Of having nothing left to hand to your children but apologies. That fear is real, and I will not mock it, and I will not sell you a miracle for it either. I will do something better. I will show you what the man in that little ledger actually did, and what it did for me, and what it can still do for you, because here is the part most folks get wrong from the very start. Most folks believe the great fortunes were built on daring, big bets, bold gambles, a man staring down the table and pushing all his chips in. And I understand why they believe it, because that is the story the movies sell. But the records tell a different story, and I have read the records. Rockefeller was not a gambler. Rockefeller was a counter. His whole edge, the thing that let him swallow an entire industry, was that he knew his numbers to the fraction of a cent when other men were guessing. And when the panics came, and they came again and again in his lifetime, the guesses were carried out on stretchers and the counter was still standing, calm as a Sunday morning, buying what the panicked men dropped. Now listen carefully, because if you miss this next part, nothing after it will protect you. The rich did not stay rich by being brave with money. They stayed rich by being boring with money, and the boring part is the part you can copy on any income, which is exactly why nobody sells it to you. Keep that in mind, because it matters later, when I show you why you were never taught any of this. I learned that lesson the hard way myself. In my 30s, I chased the myth. I bought things I could not name the price of a month later. I let money walk through my hands like water through a fist, and I have nothing to show for that decade but the lesson. It was the counting that saved my 40s, and the counting starts with the first plain step, the one sitting in that museum case. You write every dollar down, every single one. Now I can hear you already, and I want you to stay with me, because you are thinking a budget is for people in trouble, for young couples behind on the rent, and that a man your age keeping a little book of pennies is somehow beneath his dignity. Friend, the richest man alive did it when he was poor and kept doing it when he was rich, his whole life long. And his own recollections tell us he looked on that first little ledger with more feeling than almost anything he owned. Why? Here is the plain mechanism. No jargon, no lecture. You cannot protect money you cannot see. That is the whole secret. Money does not usually leave in one dramatic robbery. Money leaves in a slow leak. A few dollars here, a renewal there, a fee you stopped noticing years ago, and a leak you cannot see never gets fixed. The writing is not arithmetic, the writing is light. You turn the light on, and the leak has nowhere to hide. I started my notebook at 40 with next to nothing, and I will tell you exactly what happened, because it happened in the first 30 days. I found money I did not know I was losing. I found more in 1 month of writing things down than any raise I ever got. And I say that without exaggeration, because a raise gets taxed and spent, but a leak, once you plug it, pays you every single month for the rest of your life. Think about your own money for a second. Think about the last bill that ambushed you, the charge you squinted at, the subscription you meant to cancel 2 years ago. You already know there is a leak. You can feel it, can't you? At the end of the month, when the arithmetic comes out thinner than it should. So here is what this means for you. 1 notebook, 1 pencil, 30 days. And you will know more about your own money than most people learn in a lifetime. And knowing is the beginning of every protection I am going to hand you today. And if you are sitting there thinking it is too late to start such a thing at your age, hear me clearly. I was not young when I started. 40 years old, with a bent back and a thin wallet. It is not too late. It was not too late for me, and it is not too late for you. But the ledger by itself is only the first step, because once you can see your money, a second question rises up. And it is the question that separates the fortunes that lasted from the paychecks that vanished. And here is where it gets good. Most folks believe the size of the income decides the future. They believe a man earning big will end up secure, and a man earning modest will end up scraping. And the records, I promise you, say otherwise. The records are full of enormous incomes that died broke. What decided Rockefeller's future was not the size of his first wages, which were small, a clerk's wages, a boy's wages. What decided it was the gap from his very first pay, and this is documented in his own recollections. He lived on less than he earned, and he set a portion aside, some to keep and some to give, from the first money that ever touched his hands. The gap between what comes in and what goes out, that little space, that is the whole machine, not the paycheck, the gap. Because a gap, held steadily, month after month, year after year, does something no big paycheck ever does on its own. It accumulates quietly, it compounds, it stacks itself up in the dark while you sleep, and time does the heavy lifting, not talent. And time is something an ordinary person owns just as surely as a rich one. My first gap was embarrassing. It was the size of a coffee habit, a few dollars a week. And I remember feeling foolish about it. A grown man setting aside pocket change. I am not foolish about it anymore. That pocket change gap, held for over 30 years without breaking, is the difference between the man I am and the man I feared becoming. And I promise you the fear was real. So make the gap. Make it small, if it must be small. You write your dollars down, you find your leak, and you turn the leak into the gap, and you hold it the way you would hold a handrail on ice. That is 2 steps now, the ledger and the gap, and I can feel some of you settling back as if we are done. We are not done. We are not even at the important part, because the ledger and the gap are only the fence around the field. There is a rule inside the field, the rule I promised you at the start, the one that protects everything else. The rule Rockefeller never broke in 80 years of panics and crashes and wars. And here is what makes it urgent for you. It is the exact rule that the heirs of the greatest fortune in America broke first, the Vanderbilts, who took the biggest pile of money this country had ever seen and ran it into the ground in 2 generations. And the way they broke it is the way ordinary retirements get broken every single day in this country, quietly, respectably, and completely. And nobody at the bank will ever warn you that you are doing it.